Hello, Steve Arts 89. Well, I had fun yesterday evening going through my folio of photographs and autographs from celebrities and stars and genre actors I've met over the years at conventions and so forth, and telling my stories of meeting them. And although I managed to go through about 60 people, I actually forgot about another 20 or 25, and I sort of want to go through them. Now, first one is Tracy Scoggins. Now, some of these people I met at conventions where you sort of went for one actor, but there was another actor there as well, so you got to meet both, but maybe you didn't get a photograph and autograph of both. So I have memories of meeting them, but I have nothing to show for it. That's why I kind of forgot that I actually met her. Now, she was on Lois and Clark, and she was basically Lois's foil. She was basically a love interest for Clark and so forth. I don't recall her being on the show till the end. I think they got rid of her fairly early because they didn't think her character was working. Or maybe Terry just didn't like her, because I know she hated Terry and she was really catty with some of the things she had to say about Terry, actually, which didn't go down as well as I think she thought it would, because I think a lot of people liked Terry. But she mostly talked about that. I wish I'd known she was in Dante's Cove, which was a 2005 to 2007 series. It was a gay series, basically. She was playing a witch, and some warlock that was formerly her husband, closeted husband, basically had possessed some person in the present. It was kind of weird and interesting and cheap and nasty, but really it was still kind of a good show. And I wish I'd known about that so I could have asked her about it, but I didn't until afterwards. Jeffrey Combs was one of those people who sometimes you go to a convention and you just go to like the Q&A, because you can basically, you don't have to line up, you don't have to pay, you don't have to buy anything, and you can basically ask them a question and speak to them and sort of meet them without actually having to go through all that. So if someone you're sort of interested in, or someone who's really, really busy and really popular, sometimes it's easy to do the Q&A. So I did the Q&A with Jeffrey Coombs and Ron Perlman, and I didn't really spend a lot of time talking to them or trying to like get their attention or trying to have a moment with them or anything, because there are other people there who are really their favourite actors. I really didn't care that much for their characters. I just sort of was there because they were in Star Trek. Now, Dawn Wells, she was in Gilligan's Island, and I remember her, of course, and I did want to meet her, but my money was spent on Jeannie, basically. But she was doing a Q&A, and it was on at the same time as a photo shoot for Anson Mount, and I had to choose between the two of them. I thought, well, I've already met Anson Mount and got an autograph, and I want to meet Dawn. It's the only way I can do it. So I went, and I'm glad I did, because she passed away not long after that from the you-know-what. And obviously I can never meet her again, but I can meet Anson Mount again and get a photograph with him, because I would have had to come back the next day to do that, and I just didn't have the money all the time, because they were in Sydney and I travelled from Melbourne. Same thing with Barbara Feldon. I got to say hello to her and that, and when I was in the line for Barbara Eden, but I also went to her Q&A. She was 99 in Get Smart, so sort of got to talk to her for a second. And Chase Masterson was at another convention with another actor, I can't remember who, and she was very fun. She was a bit over the top. She had a lot of energy. People loved her, but she was exhausting. Some of the staff were exhausted by her and needed a break from her at times. But I didn't get an autograph or photograph or anything. I thought I did, and I'm like, okay, I didn't. But so she was fun, but she was actually meant to be at the Ladies of Trek convention that Nichelle Nichols was at, that I met her the first time. But unfortunately, she was sick in Sydney and couldn't come to Melbourne, because they went to Sydney first and Melbourne like the next day. Allegedly, she just got drunk the night before and was hungover and missed a plane. But what the official story was that she was sick and couldn't come. I don't know what the actual case was. Alan Tiddick, or whatever his name is, I can't pronounce his name, Tuddick, from Resident Alien. I met him long before that. He was really nice, really friendly. His agent was hovering around. Like the people that manage these actors really are usually kind of rude, and it's the actors who are fine, and it's them who are sort of. So he was really nice, but the manager was something else to behold. Elijah Wood. I was just waiting in line. I was the first in line for someone else. And some lady came out making a big fuss, like someone was coming. I'm like, huh? And then out comes Elijah Wood, and I said, oh, out loud. And he looked at me, and I'm like, sorry, I didn't know you were going to be here. I didn't realise, and he sort of sat down. He was like just there and chatted a little bit for a second, just like, you know, like that. And then the people started coming up for the line. And I stood there for ages, so I got to watch him and listen to all his stories and that he was when he was talking to people. But and my friend came down to meet me so he could just see him because he was a fan of the Lord of the Rings films and stuff like that. And he looked exactly the same. He hadn't aged at all. Jay Legalia, I think his name is. He was this gorgeous Kiwi actor who was very famous in Australia before he was in Star Wars. A big, giant, tall guy, beautiful guy. And he was just walking around the convention afterwards, going around the stalls. I don't know if he was a fan or a fellow nerd or what, but we just sort of chatted, and I just bumped into him like, oh my God, you know, and we chatted, and it was just really friendly. We sort of walked around some of the stalls and stuff, and he was just a really nice guy. Tamara Morrison, I kind of wanted to meet him, but there are a lot of people to meet him, and he kind of scared me a little bit because for a lot of people he's Boba Fett, but for me he's always going to be Jake from Once Were Warriors, and you know, that character was a bit scary. He seemed sweet though, but he did a haka and everything or whatever it's called, and he seemed really nice, but I didn't make the effort to really meet him. I kind of regret it, because he went on to be Boba Fett. I mean, he already was Boba Fett, but, you know, in the series, but yeah. Next we have Michelle Forbes. Now, I just walked up to her. She was at a table, and I don't think there really was anyone waiting for her at the moment to get an autograph, so I just jumped in and just said hi. I didn't know you were here. I can't afford an autograph, which was usually the case. I just wanted to say hi because I loved you as Ro Lauren, and she had already been in True Blood. So she was really friendly. She was really sweet. I think she offered to give me an autograph or something. I didn't get it, but she was just really nice. Not the same experience with what was the name of the guy who was also in True Blood? He was the werewolf, and he was also in Magic Mike. He's married to Sofia Vergara. A lot of people were like a bit excited when he was coming to the convention, but there was no one in his line. His line was just dead, and I actually wanted to just go say hi, and there were some people sort of at the end of the line. I sort of said, can I just go and say hi? I'm not buying an autograph or anything. I just want to say hi. And they're like, no, sorry, we can't allow you to do that. He's too important. I'm sorry, he's a big star. Was their attitude. And I'm like, yeah, well, there's no one in the line. I don't think anyone cares. So maybe this approach is not working because, you know, you're scaring everyone away because there was no one there for him. And he left a little bit after that, and he didn't stay the whole time he was supposed to be there because there was just no one interested. And that was really surprising because he was like a big name in some ways, but just, yeah, I think his people alienated anyone who wanted to meet him, I think, because, yeah, and that does happen. Now the people, of course, John Wesley's ship, the Flash, the original Flash from the 90s, and Dawson's dad, everyone loved because he was hot. So many of my friends had a crush on Dawson's dad. They weren't watching for Dawson, they were watching for, you know, the zaddy action. No, he's just a daddy. He wasn't a zaddy. He's not old enough to be a zaddy. No, there weren't zaddies then. He was just a hot daddy. And he was really sweet. He was really sweet because I didn't recognise the name. I didn't realise who he was. And I saw him like, oh my God. And I came over and he was so sweet. I think he gave me like a hug. He was a really nice, sweet guy. And I just wish I'd gotten his autograph. Because I just didn't recognise the name when I was going through the information and stuff. Didn't know he was there. Because that's also how sometimes you just recognise people. Like David Faustino from Married with Children, didn't know he was going to be there. Went up to him. Same thing. Just said, God, I loved you as Bud Bundy. I watched that show religiously. It meant so much to me. I'd love to get your autograph, but I have no money. I'm like done for the day. I didn't, you know. And he was really nice. I'm glad I got to meet one of the Bundys. And sometimes, like I said, you go to conventions and other people are there that you don't know. Like Simon Cliff from Stargate, had no idea who he was when he was there. Got photographs with him, talked with him. I knew he was from Stargate, but I had no idea what the character was. Saw Stargate later, at least one of the seasons he was in. And I'm like, oh, okay. I wish I'd known him who he was then. I could have asked some questions. Same thing with Robert Atkin Downs, or Robin Atkin Downs. Yeah, Robin. He was in Babylon 5. Same thing. Watched this whole series later on. I'm like, oh wow, he had a really big role. I wish I'd known who he was when I met him. I had no idea. Dwight Schultz. Now, even though he was in Next Generation, I knew him first as Crazy Murdoch because in primary school, kids used to call me Crazy Murdoch. So that was his legacy that he left on me. And there's a few other people, but I think they all just, their stories could pretty much warrant their own little video just for the fun of it. And I'm nearly up to 10 minutes now, so I think I'm going to stop. But so those are all the people who I met because they were there with other people, or I just was at a convention, I just randomly bumped into them or whatever. And I just didn't realise until I went through my album and sort of made lists like this how many people I've met over the years, because I really did just live on the convention circuit and do a lot of the fan club stuff, and I was very involved in one of the Star Trek fan clubs, Oztrack at the time, and I met a lot of people through that and got involved with a lot of stuff there, which was fun for a few years. Then I had to leave because it just changed. Every few years they had different management and things changed. So, but it's kind of my my whole convention experience pretty much done. But feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think if you've met some of these people, and you have any stories. Feel free to share. But it was just nice meeting most of them. It's really fun to meet people, and then you see them on TV, or people that you know from TV, their characters and that. This is fun. I'm going to go.